All right, Alexander, let's do a very quick video on the elections in Germany, in Bavaria, and Hesse.
Yeah.
Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, Hesse.
Hesse?
Yeah.
Yeah, Hesse. Okay. So Olaf Scholz's party did not do well. They did very, very poorly. The Greens seem to have been steady, I guess. AfD, second place party, and the party that came out ahead was the CDU and the CSU. Your thoughts?
Yes. Well, the CSU has dominated Bavarian politics since the Second World War. It would be an astonishing thing if they were suddenly to collapse and lose control in Bavaria. And Hesse is one of the richest German states. It's also a place you would expect the CDU, in other words, the Christian Democratic Union, the Conservative Party, through most of the post-war era, the dominant party in Germany, to do well as well. Angela Merkel's party, by the way. So in the sense that the CDU, won the first spot in Hesse, and the fact that the CSU won the first spot in Bavaria is not news. The fact that a right-wing party is now positioned as second, and it's a radical right-wing party against both the CSU and the CDU, is a huge event. And of course, what you're now going to find is that, of course, CDU officials and CSU officials will now be saying to themselves, well, we've got to watch this because they've now catapulted themselves to this position. They're getting strong. The AfD is getting strong in our own places, the places where we have been strong. We can't fight them by saying that we are the right and they are the left. We can't do that anymore. We can argue, perhaps not very convincingly, that we stand for democracy and that they oppose it. We can demand that they get banned, and there are now calls of the CDU to ban the AfD, but it seems there are very significant legal obstacles in the way of doing that, and that will probably not play well in Germany either. So I think that the CDU and the CSU have a lot to think about from this result, and they didn't, it seems to me, win clear-cut, strong victories, as you might have expected, given that they're the opposition. And I think they need to be rattled by this result. Now, let's go to the SPD. It is sinking. And I think this is the key thing to understand. In Hesse in particular, the SPD has been a strong party in the past. And it's now at real risk of becoming marginalized. In Bavaria, it's never been in any kind of position to challenge the CSU, but it has had places where it's been strong, like Munich, for example, and it's now receding there also. In fact, what we are seeing is that Olaf Scholz is presiding over the collapse of the SPD, which, remember, is the oldest party in Germany, has a continuous history going all the way back to the 19th century. It was, by the way, and just incidentally, a party that once was supported by Karl Marx and which, for a lot of its existence, identified itself as a Marxist party. But for much of its history, it's been the biggest party in Germany. It's led powerful governments in Germany post-war, the one led by Willy Brandt and Helmut Schmidt, the one that was led by Gerhard Schröder, and it is melting away. And it is completely unsurprising because it has led Germany into an economic disaster. And more people in Germany are understanding that, and they're turning their backs on it. So I think it is now in an existential crisis. And what it needs to do, and needs to do fast, is dump Scholz, try to find some way out of this, perhaps preferably go into opposition, and to try to reconstitute itself and reconnect with its routes. It's shown no sign of wanting to do that. It's gone in the past into coalitions with Merkel, which didn't do anything good for the SPD either. It formed grand coalitions with Merkel, which left it weaker. And now we see that it's heading towards collapse. And I'm starting to think that we're now approaching the point when the SPD will be at that point of no return. And we could see it sink further until it becomes a marginal group in German life. And that would be an astonishing change in Germany. Now, as for the Greens, well, the thing to understand about the Greens is that they have a fervidly loyal base. People like us are worried about the deindustrialization of Germany. But of course, amongst a lot of Green voters, that isn't a concern. It's something they perhaps even welcome.
Yeah, it's not a bug; it's a feature for them. Yeah, absolutely. They're happy about the deindustrialization. Are you suggesting that? I mean, I don't know. In German politics, can Scholz just say that the government has lost confidence or collapse and go to elections? Does that happen? Or
it's
I mean, in other European countries, that would be the case if they saw results like this.
Yes.
But in Germany, I'm not sure.
Very, very difficult to do in Germany. And I'm going to say something else. I'm afraid that this SPD, the party leadership, would not want it anyway. I mean, their instinct will be to cling on. I mean, a couple of years ago, when there was an election in Germany, a parliamentary election, the last one that Merkel fought as chancellor, the coalition, the Grand Coalition, did very badly. And we saw the SPD, I think it fell below 20% of the vote. And there were a lot of people who were saying at the time what the SPD needed at that point was to break the link with Merkel and to go into opposition, because that was essential for the SPD in order to rebuild itself and revive. But then what happened was the SPD establishment said, no, we can't do that. We must remain in government. They said that that's the way to promote social democracy in Germany. In reality, it was the way that they keep their jobs, they keep their privileges, they draw it out a little longer. To a great extent, it seems to me, that is all the SPD has become. It's a husk of the party it once was. So I think they will cling on to power. I think Scholz will cling on to power. I think that the progressive weakening of this party will continue and will accelerate. I think it had a short upward blip during the last election when Merkel's chosen successor, Armin Laschet, self-imploded during the election circuit. And of course, the CSU isn't in a particularly strong shape either, but not as critical a shape as the SPD is. But anyway, the SPD had a brief upward blip at that time because of factors that weren't really under its own control. I think that misled people into thinking that the party was reviving. I think it is now in terminal decline. And I think it has been for a while, and I expect from this point on it will accelerate as it tries to cling on to power, even as the situation in Germany deteriorates.
Yeah. Olaf Scholz, the SPD, they brought it onto themselves. Anyway.
Yeah. And of course, if Sarah Wagenknecht actually does get round to creating an alternative radical party on the left, that could be the final blow. I mean, that could be the end. That could be the final event that demolishes the SPD. As for the Greens, I'm afraid we have to accept the fact that they're going to be with us for a long time because, as I said, this is more a cargo cult, in my opinion, than a political party.
Well, yeah. You know, my philosophy on the Greens is always fine. Keep them as a party, but just don't let them anywhere near government.
Exactly. Exactly.
Don't let them anywhere near government. Period.
Exactly.
And you'll be okay.
Exactly.
Scholz gave them the keys to the castle, and look at what they've done.
Exactly.
Anyway, all right, we'll leave it there. TheDuran.locals.com. We are on Rumble, Odyssey, BitChute, Telegram, Rockfin, and X. And go to the Duran shop, 20% off. Use the code TheDuran20. Take care.